get the other people to go out and vote, the people who are what's called disenfranchised, the ones who don't vote, get them to go vote, and then get the people elected, and they take away the laws that make it hard to vote, and they put in laws that make it easy to vote. See, that comes back to our Constitution is if you win, the majority rules. If you win, you get to pass laws that you want. In Nevada now, the Republicans are in control of the Assembly and the Senate. The Constitution doesn't say they have to pass laws that are good for people who are Democrats. It says you won, you're a majority, you can do whatever the hell you want to do as long as it's legal. So we can't blame people for playing according to the rules of the game. If we don't like the rules of the game, we change the rules. And in our system, it's set up so you can change the rules, which is go vote, get people elected. When you have a majority, they will pass laws to be what the people want. So the solution, Dennis, would be go vote, we'll get people elected, and get them to change the laws regarding restrictions on voting. Another big one here in Las Vegas for Larson is ex-felons being able to vote. And it's got a convoluted law in Nevada. California is straightforward. In Nevada, it's very convoluted. And we don't need to go into that, but the law is very convoluted, and it's not easy. In fact, if you fall into a category where your rights aren't automatically restored, and you want to go get them restored, it's almost impossible to do that, even though it tells you the steps you have to do. If you actually try to do the steps, you can't do them. So, for example, one step is call this number at the courthouse. You call the number, and what do you get? You get a recording that says press this, 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 or this. And you can't get to the place that you need to get to find out what you need to do to get your voting rights restored. Okay, those things can all be changed if people vote. So, Dennis, what I was talking about is in Nevada, we're going to be filing for a new class, and all new students are going to be starting the new class. It's not going to be business, sales, and communications. It's going to be a publishing class, and everybody will be involved in doing an internship for a magazine. Right now we have one magazine, and that magazine is Chow Tutti. We were going to do another magazine when we had, who was it? Who were the guys? Moses, Billy, Luis. Here we're going to do a Hispanic magazine because there is no good Hispanic magazine in Las Vegas. Nothing like Chow Tutti. There's a lot of crappy magazines. And but they all graduated or got jobs, so that one died. But the next one we're going to do, and the one we're talking about now, is the SPQR magazine, which is about getting people to vote. And the plan is very simple. You have what are called street teams that are knocking on doors. And in the last election, what was it, March or April? March, April, May, whenever the last election here was for city council, we supported a couple candidates, 3 candidates. One of them was Randy Voyard, who ran for city council. He lost by 1,600 votes. And we had students going out knocking on doors, handing out pamphlets. We had students making calls. We made thousands of calls. What do we have, like 4 people sometimes making calls? So we had people making calls, but it was too little too late. We're now starting now for the next election for city council is in the spring of 2017. So it's less than 2 years away. So we have these street teams that go out to get people to register to vote. I'm talking about why it's important to vote. Well, we haven't started yet. Okay, but there are people that do that. But what they want you to do is they want you to vote for a party. They want you to register as Democrat, or they want you to register as Republican. That's not what we want to do, because those parties are corrupted. They have their own agenda. And the reality is a lot of disenfranchised people, almost all disenfranchised people, are not going to register to be Republican. How many people here would register to be Republican? Okay, 1, 2. Okay, 2 smart people. No, I'm just kidding. Okay,
Right.
so 2 people would. I'm not a registered Republican. I'm a registered Democrat. But
I'm a
2
registered
people.
Republican.
Okay, Joe is a registered Republican, so conservative people. So.
And liberals mean, I'm sorry.
Okay, so we'll come back to that.
That's just because I haven't switched.
What?
That's just because I haven't had time to switch yet, though.
Oh, okay, all right.
Say,
So,
Joe, you like Bernie.
Bernie Sanders. Okay, good. So most people that are disenfranchised that don't vote are not going to register Republican because they've been conditioned to believe Republicans are bad. The reality is Republicans, the fundamental thing about Republicans is they say, I don't need the government to help me, in quotes, help me. I just need to be free to go out and become successful. I'm smart enough to do it. The basic premise of liberals is the government's job is to help me survive, get ahead, and do things. Okay? People who are Republicans say, no, I want the government to leave me alone. I don't want high taxes. I don't want these services. I don't want that. I don't need parking meters. I don't need this stuff. I just need to be left alone. Liberals say the job of the government is to help me get ahead. If I don't have a job, the government's job is to help me get a job. If I don't have an education, it's the government's job. If I don't have medical benefits, it's the government's job to help me do that. The government is supposed to help me survive. That's the fundamental difference between the two. So some people won't become Republicans no matter what. Some people won't become Democrats because they can't believe, they don't want to be labeled as I'm pro same-sex marriage. I'm just not going to go there. Or I'm Catholic and I'm not pro-abortion. So I can't be a Democrat because I don't want people to think I'm in favor of gay marriage or I'm in favor of abortion. So I'm not gonna do that because I don't believe that, but I do believe these other things. So a lot of people don't vote because they don't want to be Republican or Democrat. And we have this conditioning idea to believe if you want to vote, you really need to be a Republican or a Democrat, even though there's all these other fringe parties that there's no reason to join anyway because they're never going to do anything. The problem with the reason that the Democrat Party is corrupt is because when the campaigns start happening, they want you to vote the ticket. Get your ballot, just vote for everybody who's Democrat. You don't need to know what they stand for. We're telling you what they stand for. We got them on the ticket. The Democrat Party supported this person. We got them on the ballot. All you need to do is vote for them, and don't worry, we'll take care of you because they do what we tell them to do. Because if they want to run for re-election, if they don't have the support of the party, they ain't going to go anywhere. Okay? That isn't what the Constitution says. The Constitution does not talk about Republicans and Democrats or parties. It talks about people voting for whoever they want to vote for. And there's very few restrictions on who can run for office. It's generally, you have to be a citizen. Can't run for office if you're not a citizen. If you're president, you have to be born here. But and there's some other restrictions, but it's not a lot. It doesn't say you have to have a certain IQ. It doesn't say you have to have a certain education. It doesn't say you have to be a lawyer or not a lawyer, or it doesn't say you have to care about everybody. The Constitution doesn't say that. We believe that because that's what somebody told us. But that's not what the Constitution says. The Constitution says you vote for whoever you want to vote for. And whoever wins, they pass laws that the people who voted for them, well, it doesn't say they pass laws whoever voted for them, but the idea was if we get you elected, you do what we tell you to do. What's the belief now? You get somebody elected and what?
They whoever financed them or fund them, they do what they tell them to do.
They do that, but that's what they actually do. But what they want you to believe is, I'm smart, I know what to do. Yeah, I want your input, but you know what? I'm a really smart guy. I know how the system works. put me in office and I'll take care of you, right? Put me in office and I'll take care of you, not put me in office and then tell me what you want me to do and I'll do it. That's how the system has evolved. And so the purpose of SPQR is to go get people to register to vote in Nevada by number one understanding, if we vote, we win. Only 6% of the people here are the ones that sway the elections. In Randy Voyart's district, there's 80,000, in his ward, there's 80,000 people who could vote. Only about less than half are even registered. And of the half, only 4,000 people voted. He lost by 1,600, which was a big margin. But 1,600 votes, come on. 80,000 people are eligible to vote in that district, in that ward. Only 4%, 4,000 voted. 5% of the people voted. About 3% of all of the eligible people are the ones who decided. And they voted for a guy who was the wrong guy, but he'd been in office before, he was an incumbent, and they don't even know what he stands for. So the purpose of SPQR is we start out with street teams that go and get people excited, get them to get this idea, you know what, I'll try it. I'll try it once and see if this kooky idea of if we all go vote, we win, and then we can change things, I'll try that and see what happens. And you can get people excited, and in Nevada, in California, you can register online. So a guy could take a tablet or a laptop or a Chromebook and say, okay, good, you ready to vote, register to vote, sign up right here, it takes about 10 minutes, it checks your thing with the Carson City Secretary of State's office to make sure you're not a felon, make sure you can vote, and if you can, boom, you're registered right then. Well, what's the problem of when you get people excited?
Is that excitement?
Exactly. That's why here I always say let your phenomenology warning bell go off. If you find yourself getting excited when somebody's talking to you, you need to say, wait a second, why am I getting excited? Is it because of the message or is it because the guy's persuasive? Okay, so one of my good friends is Tiger Todd. His numbers do not support anything he says. But when you do an exit poll of people who walk away from Hero School, God, that's the greatest guy in the world. The guy's fantastic. He's Jesus Christ's right-hand man. But does anything actually change? No, a week later, everybody's back to what it was. And the other thing is, if he didn't give away all of this stuff, would people even come? If you didn't get free breakfast, free lunch, all of this bicycle, computer, drones, nuclear reactors for your garage, if you didn't get that stuff, would people go? No. But he's very good at getting people excited and to believe. And when Tiger Todd, when they were coming here every week, they serve a very important purpose, which is getting people to believe they can change. Because here, if you don't believe you're going to change, guess what happens? What happens, Mika?
If you don't believe you can change, you don't become anything.
Yeah,
Try.
if you don't believe you can get 35 words a minute, what's going to happen?
Then I'll never die.
Right, because your connectome is set. You're telling, it's like driving with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake, right? I'm going to try to type 35, but you're telling yourself, I can't do it. Okay, and so we can't do what we do without people like Hero School. Okay, they don't come back anymore because the state of Nevada that licenses the school says you have to have a background check if you're going to be speaking in school. They don't do that in California. They have other crazy rules in California. But in Nevada, it's the state school. We get to run it, but they consider this their school. We get to run it. We have to pay all the bills, but they set the rules, and one rule is nobody talks to students unless they've had a background check. And that plaque back there, that framed thing back there, was when they said, I can't be an instructor here. We're having a hearing because we recommend Bevilacqua is not qualified to be instructor at Larson because he's an ex-felon. So we had a hearing, and we won 4-0. They voted 4-0. Okay, yes, he should be the instructor. But here, you can't teach unless you have a background check. Unfortunately, for some reason, once the Hero School found out you have to have a background check, they said, no, we're not going to do that. And the state said, well, then guess what you don't get to do? You don't get to come back to Larson. But they serve a very important purpose. And I'm not, my goal isn't to say anything bad about Hero School, but the reality is, and we're going to use this with SPQR Magazine, it's easy to get people excited about something in gung-ho. But you have to follow through. And so the street teams go out, they get people signed up to vote. Next week, what's going to happen, Mike?
They're going to forget.
Yeah, they're going to be like, okay, well, what's the next big thing? Okay, who got shot? What black person got shot by the cops this week? Okay, we're going to make a big deal about that, right? That's always what's in the news.
What's flag offense for this week?
Okay, or what did Donald Trump say this week, right? And everybody starts talking about that. And what are they not talking about?
Voting.
Voting. They're not talking about let's get rid of these people who they're following the rules. The rules are you vote, your people enact laws that you tell them to enact. But the system doesn't work when it's 6% of the people voting. So the idea is we need to change the elected people, and it's easy to do just getting people to vote. So the idea with the SPQR magazine is we get people excited, we get them to register to vote, and then we give them a copy of the magazine. And the magazine talks about what voting is all, it talks about what they were just told, what got them excited. That's in there. They don't need to remember it, and they can now pass it on to someone else. And it talks about the opportunities in Las Vegas and what needs to be changed. What we need to do to get people to believe that the future is going to be better than the past. Because most people think we're going down, that the whole country's going down. You know, when President Kennedy was alive and in office, if you just look at the TV shows that were on in the beginning of the 1960s, people believed that by this age, this time right now, we'd be going to Mars, we'd be all over the place, everybody'd have robots at home, life was going to be great. Everybody'd be educated, there'd be no disease, there wouldn't be war all over the world. Back then, that's what people believed the future was. It was going to be better. What do TV shows say the future is going to be like now? Zombies, right? How many zombie shows are there? How many apocalypse shows are out there of life after everything has collapsed? That's what we're watching now. That's what's on now. So people don't believe the future is going to be better. And it's just a very simple thing. The rich are getting richer because laws are getting passed that make it better in their benefit. And the Constitution says that's okay. That's the way the system's supposed to work. This is a democracy. Don't blame the people who vote for voting. The people who don't vote shouldn't blame the people who voted. They need to blame themselves for not voting. And the solution is very simple. And as Dennis pointed out, even though it's not that easy to vote, and that's a big thing in Las Vegas, is a lot of these people work in casinos, they're, you know, maids, you know, low-level, low-skilled jobs, and you can't say to your boss, well, I need to go vote. You know, part of they don't vote is because it's not convenient to vote. But there's so many more times the number of people who could vote that simply don't vote, that if we got those people to vote, then we change the laws to make it easy and do things.
I have a question.
Yes.
Like, I almost always vote, but every time I try to pick the ones that I vote on because I get jury duty in Arizona and California. I don't, have anything to do with Nevada. But
yeah.
As soon as I'm done, and I don't want to take off work, or, I mean, that's like I don't know.
What?
It bothers me.
To
We
what?
get jury duty immediately after voting.
Okay, so what's the thing that bothers you? Jury duty?
I just ignore it. Like, if they
Jury
put me in
duty?
jail for ignoring it,
Oh.
then I'd be in trouble.
Well, yeah, that's one of the prices you have to pay. And so some people say, I don't want to go to jury duty. But the reality is, they're not, the reality is, you go there, you spend a day or 2 days or some number of days, and if the other one of the attorneys doesn't want you, they're not going to have you anyway. Yeah.
Well, I was trying to put down that I worked in criminal court and politics for quite a while, and
Okay.
so it will help me get out of it.
Yeah.
But each and every time, I immediately.
Okay. So now you have to fall back on, but my civic duty
Right.
is to do that. What's more important, getting laws that help me or not having to be on jury duty? Yes, Dennis?
No, no, go ahead. No,
Okay.
we're talking about being judged by a jury of your peers.
Yeah, a jury of your peers, in quotes. So, SPQR is going to be the other magazine for everybody to participate in. And I know that Joe is going to participate in SPQR, right, Joe?
What does
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
SPQR stand for? Ed?
What, Dennis?
What does SPQR stand for?
The Senate and the people of Rome.
Correct. That's what it stands for, literally.
Okay. All
Okay,
right.
what it really means is we don't have tyrants.
Okay.
Okay, so SPQR is the sort of the slogan or motto of Rome, and they adopted that once they got rid of the people who oppressed them, the Etruscans. When they threw off the Etruscan king, they said, we're never going to have a king anymore, we're not going to have a tyrant. This is going to be a republic, and it's going to be a republic of the city, of the Senate and the people, and that's how it's going to be. So that's literally what SPQR means, is the Senate and people of Rome, but what it stands for is the proposition that we're not going to have a government controlled by tyrants, people who are only interested in their own well-being at the expense of other people. Okay? That's the short version. All right, so we're going to do that. That's what we're going to do. But today we're really here to talk about Google Apps. And so for some people this will be a review, and other people will be an orientation. But it's very important that we are very clear of what is the cloud and why are there Google Apps. A couple days ago I was interviewing Frank Finano from Fifth Avenue Restaurant Group. They have 50 restaurants, 900 employees, and I can promise you every student here would be better than all of the employees that I saw in this room that they were talking about health benefits for. And I was talking to Frank about the cloud, and like most people, he doesn't know what the cloud is. And he doesn't know the benefits of the cloud. So I think it's important that we expect when you're talking to a prospective employer in an interview that they don't really know what the cloud is. They might have an idea, but that means you need to be able to articulate it and articulate it well. And so Frank didn't really comprehend the cloud so much that I had to just talk about one of the 8 Google apps to give him an idea of how it could benefit his business, because he just couldn't grasp what is this cloud, what does that mean. And so it's very important that everybody understands that. And then, so what is the cloud? Why? What's the big deal? Why should we care about the cloud? And then it's, why the Google Cloud? And then what is it that we do in Google? Everybody needs to be very clear about that. So what is the cloud?
The apps work together. Like, I don't know, there's Microsoft,
Basically,
whatever. Those 8 apps are
Okay, go ahead. Not quite, but go ahead. Good guess. So start. Yes, Joe?
I just said basically,
Okay, Dennis, what did he say?
I didn't turn it off. I didn't hear it.
We have that microphone problem again. After the word basically, you cut out, Joe. Let's try it one more time, but not close to the microphone, because maybe that's the problem.
it's essentially another computer.
Okay, well, if a server is a computer, that would be true. So the cloud does not exist without computers. That's absolutely true. Okay, but what is it that makes it the cloud? Not just that it's a computer, right, Joe? What is it about computers that make it the cloud?
How it interfaces with everything.
Okay, it does. It also interfaces with everything, but if we have a bunch of computers in an office, they can interface with everything, but they're not on the cloud, right?
It stores things
Okay, but computers in your office store things too.
at a central location anywhere around the world.
Okay, so anywhere around the world would be true. It doesn't have to be at a central location, though. And so with the Google apps we use, I can promise you that all of your data is not stored at a central location. Your account is broken up. Your YouTube stuff is over on some YouTube server somewhere. Your Gmail stuff is on Gmail servers somewhere. If you do voice, that's somewhere else. But they all work. They're able to pull everything together so it's seamless. You don't know that it's not anywhere else, and that's because of this high-speed internet. So the cloud exists because of high-speed internet, because before, when there was just internet, we didn't have the cloud, right? The cloud exists because of high-speed internet. And so I think the simple answer to people of what is the cloud is the technology that enables data and programs to be stored other than on your computer. Okay, now that doesn't mean anything for most people, but that would be a technical definition. So technology that allows data and programs to not be stored on your computer.
Ed, isn't it a network of servers?
It's what?
Like a network?
Network of servers?
Yes.
Well, that's how it's built, but you can have a network of servers that are not on the cloud, right?
Okay.
Okay. There used to be things, there still are, called server farms. So you could be a business and you didn't want to have an IT department in your place, you have it somewhere else, and everybody in your office would be using this server farm. Your data would be over there and somebody else would be keeping the machines running, and they'd have diesel generators in case the power grid went down, and they have a really fat internet pipe because you didn't have high-speed internet coming to your office, so they would have these DS3 really high-speed internet going to their building and all kinds of redundancy and high-powered, highly trained technicians running it. So all of that stuff is true, but the question that people are going to ask is, what is the cloud? And it's a hard problem. It's like somebody saying, going to UCLA, and they say, okay, this is University of California, Los Angeles. Where's the university? And you say, well, and they say, well, that building's the cafeteria, and that's the business school, and that's the medical school, and those are dorms. Where's the university? Show me, point to the thing that is the university. Can you do that? If you go to UCLA, somebody says, where is the university here? I see that building says it's the cafeteria, that says financial aid, that says basketball arena. Where is the university here? We'll point to it.
It's all around us.
Okay, but you can't point to a single thing, right? It's the same thing with the cloud. It's not just the servers, it's not the network, it's not the high-speed internet. It's when those things combine so that the programs that computers run and the data that they create and store is able to be used. And the thing is, the cloud makes it possible for businesses to get new customers and to be more efficient. So what you want to get to in your interview is to get the guy to be able to answer the question of, well, why should I care about the cloud? And when I was talking to Frank Bonanno, and he was stuck on this thing of, I thought it was Apple. I thought the cloud was Apple. And he couldn't get the definition I just gave. Ultimately I had to talk about YouTube for him. But before I talked about an app, I just had to get it clear. Look, here's what the cloud does. Here's why you should care about the cloud. Let's not get bogged down into exactly what is the cloud, like going to UCLA and getting into this discussion of exactly where is the university, because I see buildings, but I don't see a university here. And does the university exist if nobody's there? You know, you don't get into those philosophical questions. It gets what you want to get to is, why should I care about the cloud? And the second I told Frank why he should care about the cloud, that's all he needed to know. Then he wanted to know, okay, what do I need to do? So why should any business care about the cloud?
It's the future
Okay, the future of what?
of business of the world.
Okay, but why? What does it do that makes it the future? What causes it to be, in quotes, the future? I'll use rock and roll quotes.
You said to get more customers.
Okay, go ahead, Jeff. It's what?
Added another.
Okay, so okay, it does. And so very simply, the way to say this would be, it gets you new customers and it makes you more efficient. Saves you money. Makes you money, saves you money. Well, how does it make money for a business? Your customers spend more money, they tell their friends, they come back more often. Think about Zappos. What did Zappos do for the shoe industry?
Worldwide connected everyone.
They made it easier for people who sold shoes to sell shoes. And they made it easier for people who like shoes to find shoes that represented them, right? Especially women, because for shoes, women are a statement of who you are, right? If you're a guy, it's a statement of what you do, okay? So Zappos made it easy to get people who made shoes to be able to sell shoes, and for people who buy shoes to be able to buy shoes. It gave them, the cloud makes it possible for Zappos to have customers and more customers. And I think that the last numbers I saw are that Google's sale, I mean, Zappos sales are like $80 a second. So, the cloud, the purpose of the cloud, when you know, ultimately, if you want to be persuasive about what value you add, is the cloud will bring you more customers and make you more efficient. And that's exactly how you say it. The cloud will bring you more customers and make you more efficient. And then they might say, how? And then what do you not say? Right. You don't say or Yeah. So at that point, you've done your research and you should be prepared. One of the easiest things to talk about would be YouTube. Another one I talked to Frank Bonanno about was maps. And I started with maps, making it easy to find the place. Okay, that's no big deal. Everybody knows that. Then what would be the next thing you talk about regarding maps?
Visual maps.
You can see how many people are in the area that are doing what you do.
Well, if you're a business, how does it help you get more customers?
You know where to
So,
market to.
well, there's street maps, right? So the next thing Google did is they had street maps, Street View. What does Street View do?
See the area that you're looking at.
Yeah, you can see right down on the street. Okay, but what's the next thing they do that most people don't know? Inside View. Inside View. Here's what it looks like inside the restaurant. And then you connect that over to YouTube, and you get to Inside View, and you could click a link and have a video, a YouTube video, launch a YouTube video of the chef standing in the kitchen talking about something. Getting people to feel a certain way. And in the future, you could have different YouTube videos that automatically play at different times of the day, like when people might be hungry, right? So if you hit somebody at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they're thinking, where should I go have dinner? And you start describing the food in such a way that they start getting hungry, and you make it easy for them to make a reservation, what might they do? They might make a reservation. At other times of the day when people are not hungry, what you might want to talk about is how cool the atmosphere is there, right? Because they might be bored right now. The reason they might be looking at the YouTube video is they have nothing else more important to do. They're trying to overcome their boredom. So instead of featuring trying to get them hungry, what you want to try to do is get them excited. And at other times, maybe right around payday when they're thinking about saving money, it could launch a YouTube video that does what?
Talk about cost efficient.
Yeah, that gives them a deal. Discount. Here's what we're having for, we're having a special dessert. Anybody that makes a reservation in the next 10 minutes, dessert is free. Okay, well, I'm going to go out to eat somewhere. This place looks good. Free dessert. Sure. Click.
Build that picture in your mind.
Yeah. That's what the cloud makes possible, because the data and the programs to do that are stored remotely. They're not stored on your computer. They're not stored on your computer. They're somewhere on servers somewhere in the world. And so when I talked to Frank Bonanno about YouTube videos, and it wasn't about YouTube videos for customers, bringing in new customers, it was YouTube videos to make sure that the recipes and the food preparation and what it's supposed to look like on the plate is documented. Okay, because if you have a restaurant chain and you have a lot of restaurants, so I had my internship at Marriott Hotels when I was in college. And at Marriott Hotels, where they have food, they have dining service, the example was if somebody likes pepper steak, and they go and they stay at Marriott Hotels, they're a sales guy for their company, high-level sales guy. At the end of a hard day, what do they want? They want a bourbon and soda, and they want a pepper steak. And they want a baked potato. And at Marriott, the thing was that guy expects that the pepper steak in St. Louis is the same as the pepper steak in Phoenix. That the chef, the cook, or the chef in Phoenix doesn't say, well, I have my own recipe. I do it better. I like my version better. That dog don't hunt at Marriott. And that doesn't work at other places like Trattoria Reggiano. It's whoever the cook is, whatever restaurant it is, if somebody orders linguine, it's exactly the same.
Carmine's too, right?
Carmine's, exactly. Starbucks is, I saw this originally from Howard Schultz giving a talk back in 1989, something like that. When Starbucks had 16,000 employees, and he said, look, when people go to McDonald's and get a hamburger for $1, all they expect is it doesn't taste bad. They don't expect to walk out of there saying, God, that was the best hamburger I've ever had. They're hungry, they want something fast, and the expectation is it doesn't taste bad. He said, however, when you go into a Starbucks and you spend $5 for a latte, you expect it to taste very good. You expect it to take away the problems in your life that you had when you walked in there. And it has to be the same everywhere. So his thing was, how do you train 16,000 people to make a latte exactly the same way?
Class, training class.
Okay, well, this is back then. There was no cloud back then.
Training.
He's saying this is a problem that we have, but we have to do it because if we don't do it, and it turns out that Starbucks is just a bunch of neighborhood places that do it differently, but it's the same sign outside. But whenever you walk into a Starbucks, it's another version of the lottery. You don't know what you're going to get. He said we failed. We can't do that. And so an extraordinary amount of energy was spent by Starbucks because they knew every place had to do it the same. Does life get easier if you can just create a YouTube video and make sure everybody watches it? How do you make sure everybody watches it? You don't have to have classes.
Make them count that they've attended or that they're there.
What else do we do? What's another Google app? What's another Google app? That's it, but that's not the one I'm looking for. That we did 2 weeks ago or last week.
Forms.
Forms. You require everybody to answer the quiz. Okay? You have a quiz on latte or an instructional thing on latte. Everybody has to do it. Is it easy to find out who didn't do it? Yeah. Because you say, what is your name or what's your ID number, right? Then they answer the questions. You have the video as a link in there, right? So they have to watch the video just like we do on Fridays. They watch the video, then they have to answer questions about it. That way ensures that everybody watched the video, right? Does anybody have an excuse for not making a latte the right way after that? No. Because one of the last things it says, if this isn't clear, go ask your supervisor to clarify. Like if you have a problem steaming the milk, go ask them, but in the video, you got that you don't steam the milk before you make the espresso. You do it in this order, then you steam the milk, and then you pour it on top of the espresso. You don't pour the espresso on top of the milk. So those are all the things that the cloud can do. Now we've gone over time, and I guess what I wanted to do was talk about the 8 apps. But I think the most important thing everybody should get from this, and if you didn't, guess what we have on YouTube?
Video.
This video, exactly. You can go back and watch this on YouTube. But you need to understand what is the cloud, why do we care about it. The simple answer, the next one was, why Google? And the answer is because Google really has the best suite of all of the applications for business. They go after businesses to do this. And it's free. It's always being updated. Google's going to be around. It's kind of what Google actually does. It's an extension of Google's business model. So that's the why Google part. What you want to do, and I can promise you, if you do your employment plan and you get your interview and you're talking to them and you're enthusiastic and you're prepared, you've done your research, and you can talk about how you can make them more money or save them money because of the cloud, the only way you won't get the job is if somebody better than you said the same thing. And you can't do anything about that. So as a Stoic, what do you do, Thomas? As a Stoic, what do? You said it earlier today.
You don't worry about it.
Yeah, why not? Because you can't control it, right? A better guy than me said what I said, but he has maybe a little bit more experience. Maybe he's done this at some other company already. But does that mean they will never hire you? No. And what Tiger Todd says is go back, stay on their radar, send them a thank you letter, and let them know you really, really want to work there. Okay, so that's it for this week. Thank you for indulging me going over. And
Okay.
next week is a new week. I don't know what we're doing next week, but maybe we should do YouTube. Yeah, we're going to do YouTube next week. Okay? That must have been Joe.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye, Joe.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Okay.